the beginning, stock cars outran the police to deliver the hooch to our ancestors. So sweet. Are you ready for a trip down victory lane, where Richard Petty's winnings were insane and Dale Earnhardt put everyone to shame? Canadian Junior Handley is in the Hall of Fame. From the home of Canada's crown jewel, Ucasa Motor Speedway, live from Haldimand County, it's time for the Driver in Deep podcast. Are you ready?
Welcome, everyone. Wingnutsports.com is proud to present the Driver in Deep podcast. Today, we're going to talk with J.R. Fitzpatrick from Cambridge, Ontario. And holy crap, Alex, has he ever raced a lot of different types of cars all over North America?
Yeah, he sure has. I've known JR for a long time. He's always been super fast and had a pile of talent. But I've been super impressed with how he's grown, and not only as a racer but also as a person over the years.
Well, before we go any further about JR, we need to take the time, first of all, to thank Cool Coolers for providing the custom Driver in Deep cooler for our contest last week that was won by Rob Robson of Caledonia, Ontario. Rob was pretty excited. If you visit our Facebook page, you can see that Rob has listened to every episode that we've done so far, and he even mentions that his favorite episode was number 6 with Joe Plazik. So if you haven't listened to it yet, Rob gives that one a thumbs up.
Wow, I didn't know Rob was from Caledonia.
Yeah, he is. He is.
Well, some people... And where do you live?
Where do I live?
Yeah.
Caledonia.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, well,
yeah.
If you look at the post there, I think Steve Mark, Bubba, he said it's fixed. You know, I do have video of the contest draw just in case anybody wants to see it if they think that.
Sure you do. Anyways, all kidding aside, congrats to Rob, and thank you to Andy and the gang at Cool Coolers. Once again, check their products out, folks. I'm telling you, summer's coming. And if you go to their website, coolcoolers.com, that's cool with 4 O's and coolers with 2 O's.com, or their Facebook page, just search them. You'll see all their cool products.
Yeah, also, Alex, I feel the need, I have to gripe about something today.
What? Mark
yeah, I know,
something to gripe about?
It's so unusual for
me.
Let me just say this. So many things have changed over the last decade or so. And I try to stay up on things, and I like to think I'm progressive. But in this case, I feel the need to get something off my chest. And here it goes. So I don't understand it myself. But have you ever noticed the kids wear 2 different socks now?
Yeah.
Oh, is it something you do as well?
Well, forever. My thing was, I just put socks on. And my mom used to always give me shit. And my comeback was always this. I go by thickness, not by color, not by style, go by thickness. So I really don't have a place to say anything because I've done that forever. Probably just because I'm lazy.
But as long as they felt the same, you know, they'd be okay, right?
I go by thickness.
I get that for sure. But the 2 different socks, 2 different styles, that's not the gripe, though. The gripe I have, and I noticed this, you know, maybe 6 or 7 years ago for the first time, socks now have a right and a left on some of them. Have you noticed that?
Only a super high performance athlete like yourself would notice that. Yeah.
Well, and that was fine because for running, I kind of get it. Maybe there's like a type of arch support, you know, whatever.
Yeah, maybe.
It makes
heavy on the maybe.
It makes a little bit of sense. But for everyday socks now, and I mean, let's face it, during COVID, working from home, it's not like I'm wearing dress socks every day. You know, you're wearing your sweats or your jeans with some sport socks, and you go buy a 3-pack of Adidas. And they're labeled left and right. And I think that's a little bit ridiculous. I mean, I've gone...
So do you still buy them?
Well,
no,
yeah.
No, it's simple yes or no.
I do.
Okay, so they can't be that... They must not be that ridiculous.
They are ridiculous.
Well, if it really bothered you, you'd change brands.
Here's the issue that I have. I get it, and if you look at them, they actually look slightly different now. I don't know that we need this, first of all. But second of all, this kind of feeds a little bit into my OCD, Alex.
Yeah. So
what happens is I take out a pair, you know, take them out, unfold them, and I put them on. And then I look down, and I have 2 L's.
Oh, hang on a sec. You fold your socks?
Yes.
Okay.
You don't fold your socks?
Let's just stop this here.
Okay.
Because you, first off...
What do you do? Just chuck yours in a drawer?
I fold them over each other, man.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I do as well. Like,
not
you fold them in and over each other.
I wonder, because I could see you like having one of those folding machines that...
First pair of socks?
What's his nuts on the TV show there?
What TV show?
The one with the nerds and Kelly across the hallway.
And Big Bang Theory?
Yeah, Big Bang Theory. Sheldon.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
He has that t-shirt folder and stuff. So
I didn't.
Every time I watch that, I think I could just see you folding your socks with one of those. Anyways, listen.
No, but hang on. The point here is this does not feed into my self-diagnosed OCD that I have.
If you were that fussy about stuff, you wouldn't be a Buffalo Sabres fan. Can we move on?
Okay, we're not going to talk about that. We can move on, but I just want to say that this is wrong. I think these companies don't realize what they're doing to us, because if I see 2 left socks, I have to change. I can't leave them on for the day, because that's going to be on my mind for the entire day. So if any of you know what I'm talking about, go to our Facebook page at Wingnut Sports and let me know, because that's my pet peeve of the day. I just wanted to get off my chest, and we can move on from there.
You know how you always refer to my buddy Kevin? You think that he's a good guy?
Well, every indication is that he is a good guy.
We have to get you guys together, because both of you are so anal about the stupidest stuff. But anyways, moving on.
Okay.
Also, for those of you that have visited our Wingnut Sports Facebook page, you may have noticed we've announced our second podcast. Take Your Shot Sports, coming soon. We announced we're going to do it. It's not launched yet. We're working on it, so looking forward to it.
Yeah, definitely coming soon. And this podcast is going to be a catch-all sports podcast. We might talk about hockey, baseball, football. I know you're not a baseball guy, but
pickleball.
Maybe you'll learn something. Yeah, pickleball, disc golf, soccer. Oh, hang on. No.
If you're going to talk about disc golf
soccer
and pickleball, you might as well talk about soccer.
Well, what am I going to talk? I don't know anything about it. Do you?
No.
Well, unless we have a guest host with us that knows something about soccer, I don't think we're going to be covering it.
All right. So does this mean that we'll be taking shots at all these sports or teams or whatever?
Maybe. Or maybe it'll be each other like usual. We'll see. You know, I did ask Mike Beckman if he wanted to be a guest host with us to clear up some of the switcher controversy that we talked about in previous episodes. You know, Mike's response was that he only has a face for TV, not for podcasts. So I guess not. But if anyone else is interested in joining Alex and myself, or maybe one of us, hit us up. Looking forward to it.
Yeah. Also, Mark, I'm looking forward to it as well. Okay, Mark, like you said earlier, we have a special guest with us today. So let's bring in our guest. He's one of the most diverse racers that I know. He's raced a lot of different cars, trucks, a lot of different venues all over North America. And I know he's got some great stories and some strong views on things, and we're looking forward to hearing that. So let's welcome J.R. Fitzpatrick to Driver in Deep. Welcome, J.R.
Hey guys, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thanks for talking with us today. Hey JR, I've seen you at Jacasa, but when Alex said you're coming on the show, I started digging into some research on your career, and you've been able to experience so many things in motorsports to this point in your career. A couple of episodes ago, we were talking a little bit about how someone could get started in stock car racing. And I see that you started by racing go-karts in junior late models at the start of your career. Knowing what you know now, what do you feel is a good path for someone to get started?
I mean, a lot of my friends' children are starting to race now, and it seems like everybody's getting into like those QRC wing dirt carts because, you know, they're very safe. You can start at a young age. And everybody seems to be thinking that dirt, you can learn a lot of car control at a young age. So, I mean, I keep hearing people starting at 5 years old in that class. Unfortunately, when I was young, really all we had then was junior late model or like a go-kart with no roll cage. So for us, it was just easier to do the roll cage deal, probably because I was a little wild when I was young, and my parents probably didn't want me in anything but a roll cage. So.
Especially your mom.
I mean, there's just so many options out there now, but honestly, I think the really smartest thing is to do the QRC on dirt and progress your way up into go-karts and then whatever anybody chooses from there on. It's there's so many variety of different style race cars now, and every bit of it's exciting.
Yeah, that's what I said to Mark when we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, JR. And, you know, whether it's even the pure stocks now offer a great opportunity, right, for everybody, whether it's on dirt or asphalt. But yeah, the go-karting thing is definitely strong again on dirt and asphalt. Yeah, mini stocks. There's just so many ways now, and there's no direct path. But I told Mark, you know, the best thing is, and our listeners, the best thing is to, if you have some interest, is to get involved. You know, whether it's go help a team, or if you know somebody who's on a team or has a team, just get yourself exposed to what it takes, and the you know, the passion, the time, all that stuff. So I think my thing is always just said, and I think you'll agree, just get involved somehow and you'll find your way.
Yeah, see, I kind of messed that up because I had just assumed at a young age, right? I know tons of people who have gotten into racing at 30, 40, even 50. Like, my dad didn't start racing until he was 45 years old. So there's definitely tons of options and opportunity out there. I mean, there's always teams looking for help. And believe me, there's people that have been on my team that are racing now just because it's such a hard sport to not fall in love with. As soon as you get involved and you meet people and you just realize how awesome it is to be around the racing community, I mean, you fall in love right away. And everybody's really good at helping everybody get started, you know? So I'm looking forward to it.
That's crazy. I mean, really, at 50, you could really start to race. Alex, are you saying that there might be hope for me?
No,
Yeah,
but maybe I could make a comeback and race with my buddy JR. Because I raced with his dad, but I never got a chance to race with him.
Well, as long as it's not in a go-kart.
Yeah.
I don't think you'll fit anymore.
Best you probably just stay with the scooter. Just saying. And yeah, you know, like I said, JR, I raced with your dad, as you know, for a little bit. And yeah, never got a chance to race with you. Kind of sucks, actually. But, you know, we've known each other for a long time. And I know your family's been instrumental to your racing career. Talk a bit about, and your dad especially, you know, so talk a bit about him and who else has been so important to you and shaping you to where you are now as a racer.
I mean, first off, you know, my dad is a workaholic businessman. He's came from Newfoundland when he was 16, was literally the $7 in his pocket story, you know, just like everybody tries to do. But he literally came here with nothing with two of his friends, and he just worked and worked and worked. And then he actually, about how you said about getting involved with racing, that's exactly what he did. He was working with a guy named Mal Preeb, who raced Sauble Speedway, All-Star later in life and whatnot. But so he started sponsoring him, and then one day he just showed up and said, "Hey, let me try that." So then my dad jumped in and just loved it. Since then, geez, I don't know, he's obviously got my career going, but he brought Don Thompson pretty much back to life. Yeah. You know, because he was pretty much, from what I've understood from the story anyway, down and out and really didn't have anything. So really, my dad helped shape him into the multi-time champion that he is.
Absolutely. I wish I met your dad then.
The person really, he is obviously my dad as a person, and helped me obviously financially because, you know, the CASCAR and NASCAR stuff's obviously very hard to do on your own. But, you know, Don Thompson is obviously a major part of who I am today. That's why people call me Grumpy. And obviously, our styles are very different, though. That's funny. Don taught me everything there is about driving, anything about working on cars. But, yeah, our styles are totally 180. He's very smooth, conservative, and I used to be very wild and all out. I feel like with age, I'm getting more like Thompson in a way, just kind of ride around and let it come to me. But my dad and Donnie Thompson for sure are the two that have made me who I am today.
JR, people may or may not know that you have a hearing impairment. Has this created any challenges for you as a race car driver, especially once you required having a spotter?
The spotter thing's pretty simple because I longtime people and friends who I dealt with my hearing aids, they actually made me special earbuds that make the volume much louder. So that's really helped me for as long as I've ever been racing. But to be honest, I honestly think in a way it's helped me just because if you can't hear things, you take more sense and feel and just your gut feeling, I guess, I'm so used to it just because my sister and I have had like progressive hearing loss ever since we were babies. So I'm very used to it. It hasn't set me back at all in anything in life. If anything, it's really pushed me and motivated me. Obviously, in school there were some issues with some people with my hearing and whatnot, but back when I was a little younger and dumber, I set them all straight. I'm not sure if they can hear right now after our meet. Growing up and getting older, I really do appreciate just what technology is doing. I mean, right now we're talking, you guys are Bluetooth in my ears. So I mean, how not everybody can just walk around and have Bluetooth music and their cell phone right in their ears without having those big fancy, units. So if anything, it's pretty cool. My new hearing aids nowadays, I even got a translator in them. Somebody talks into my phone and it translates English into my ears. So lots of cool things come with hearing impairment.
That's awesome. And
Yeah.
I had that same thought, JR. I was going to ask you if it maybe has even helped you in some ways. I can tell you, most people won't even know you have that because it hasn't changed you a bit. And I know it's also, you've also had some others speak about this, and you've inspired some young people. I know if you remember Will Corey last year from London, races junior late model, and he was looking to talk to you about that because he's got the same situation, and he's, he went through going through some of the same stuff at school that you did. He's probably not as aggressive as you, so he can't take care of himself. But I don't know if you ended up getting hooked up with him or not, but I know there's been some other people that you've inspired.
Yeah, and I've heard about that, but I never actually got the opportunity to talk to him because I did get a phone call the night before somebody just letting me know that he might be coming to talk to me. And I'm always open and willing to talk to young people or even people that are in my age about stuff like that, because obviously you don't want to handle it in a way that maybe I did when I was younger. But, at times kids are kids. Kids don't really understand, that, even a hearing impairment, something so small, it's not really a big deal, especially, it might affect my speech in a little bit. Like a lot of people ask if I'm like from the US or whatnot, but no, it's probably just because my speech is just a little bit different. But other than that, I mean, I function just as sometimes probably better than a lot of people that I'm with every day. So, there's always ways to handle things. And now that I'm older, I think I can help somebody get through that a little better than maybe I did.
Yeah, I agree.
That's great.
So, we talked about your start with junior late models, go-karts, and you raced locally mostly, moving through the ranks, and ultimately getting your shot at the CASCAR National Tour, where you had a lot of success. You become actually the youngest CASCAR National champ at the age of 18, I believe it was, and you followed that up with a third and a second over the next couple of years after that. Knowing what I know and looking back, that whole time must have, looking back now, you must think, holy crap, how did, that must have been a bit of a whirlwind.
Yeah, I mean, I always say to a lot of young people is you can't let emotion get in the way of your success. The reason I say that is because I experienced quite a bit of success at a young age. Like, I never did full-time late model, never did full-time super stock. I literally started testing a CASCAR at Peterborough Speedway, Kawartha Speedway, when my dad and Don would go test. I'd be third gear, go get some laps at like 13 years old. So really a CASCAR is what I first got into. I did CASCAR Sportsman for a couple races, but my first legit full deal was with the CASCAR team that Fitzpatrick Motorsports ran. So I feel like it took me a couple years to learn the ropes and get experience and whatnot. But after I won the championship, I was at my all-time high. I mean, 18 years old, won the CASCAR Super Series championship was just unheard of, really, in Canada, because 18 then was young. Now 18's, kind of old. I mean, you hear people winning races at 13, 12, which is insane. The unfortunate thing for me looking back is, so I won the championship in 2006. NASCAR took over in 2007, but I went through a really tough time because my dad obviously had a near-death experience in the middle of 2006 in the winter of 2007. So It really screwed me up, like, mentally. And then when we went back racing, there was just a whole bunch of stuff we were dealing with. And to be honest, I ruined a lot of my career by just being an idiot, really. Being young and stupid and just trying to prove something that I didn't really have to prove off the racetrack more than on, if you know what I mean. I didn't like getting pushed around. I took a lot of it to heart, and it just, when you deal success at such a young age, it's hard because you feel like you got to back it up right away, even though I was only 18, 19, where, when I win stuff later in life, I just sit back and I appreciate it. And then I just get right back to work and try and do it again. So, the CASCAR and NASCAR stuff was a lot of fun, but I really still feel like I wasted so many years just being young and dumb.
Yeah, well, we can all relate to that.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
And, I know how you got started, and you did all that testing with your dad and Donnie with the CASCAR. And it's a lot like our buddy, DJ, right? He was doing the same thing at Delaware prior to a race. I remember, he'd be doing laps, and at that time, Bobby Hume was driving for his dad, and DJ got to do laps before every event, and, he pretty much jumped in with 2 feet, just like yourself.
Yeah, and I mean, people who never really got to see the CASCAR Super Series, it was insane.
The best.
It was crazy. There was over 40 cars every weekend. There was 100-lap heat races. There was guys going home every week. So it wasn't like just show up and race 10, 12 cars, which unfortunately it can be like it was last year, but the competition's so high, everybody's so close, and it was a full-time deal. Guys did it for a living. So it was absolute best of Canada, and man, it was what a ride. I mean, CASCAR Super Series days were by far.
And Tony,
really
he's so far ahead of his time.
And it was
great.
I just look back and I see old pictures. The tracks were packed, and it was so many cars. It was just incredible. And I got to watch you race in CASCAR because my dad started in, I think, 1997.
Yeah. And
then Don came in 90. So, I mean, I got to watch everybody. Whitlock, Gibbons. I got to race those guys. Even Mark Dilley, Kerry Mix. I never got to race with you, though. So, hey, we might have to hook up to a go-kart track just to say that.
Well, I mean,
just to say
well, or maybe, well, I was thinking, I know you have a couple of pro late models. I don't know. Maybe we'll talk about that later, buddy.
Flip a coin for which one. Yeah.
It's on.
JR, during that time, you also headed south and dabbled some in the Xfinity and Camping World Truck Series before going full-time into the trucks in 2012. And by the way, the photo, Alex, that you posted on JR's bio of that 60 car, the truck. Yeah, that's a pretty sweet-looking ride. Anyway, you had a lot going on in a short period of time. How was that experience for you, and would you do anything different?
The experience was great. I met and still talk to several people down there. Actually, to be honest, I've been in contact more with them this winter trying to improve my late model program. So really just people and connection is what I loved about being down there the most, because the people down there are great. The experience was good. I learned a lot about cars, setup, and obviously all the cool tracks, and I got to meet a lot of cool people. I got to drive for legendary people, Kevin Harvick, Dale Jr. I drove for Brad Kay, Stacey Compton, and TRG. I drove for so many great people. What I wish we did different, I wish I did like a full season of ARCA first. Reason being is, the old Cayuga, which is Jacassa Speedway now, was the biggest track I was ever on. So before I went down there, everyone's calling Martinsville a short track. Well, I get to Martinsville, and I'm like, holy crap, this place is massive. So it was a learning curve for me because a lot of different things. They run truck armor suspension. We run 3 links in Canada, and the tracks are different. They're radial tires. So I think, I jumped in 2 feet before I should have. Really, I should have just did steps. I wish I did ARCA first and then trucks, but it all comes down to sponsorship and the connection we had then with Mammoth Canada. They wanted to be big. They wanted to go trucks, and then they wanted to do nationwide, and then unfortunately a deal fell through pretty much after about 6 races in 2009 for us. So from then on, we just kind of tried to get back in and do our best, and then took a couple years off trucks there and did 4 races, I think, with Junior Motorsports with the Schick number 7, and ran really good. We were in the top 5 at all the races, but we ended up finishing, I think, in the top 10 and 1/5. So a lot of good runs, but I take most from all that is the experience and the connections and the people I got to meet along the way.
Yeah, I agree. That's a key part of this whole thing. You'd mentioned this a bit earlier, but And I was telling Mark that a lot of successful drivers were always super fast, like you. You're always super fast. And you even mentioned this, maybe sometimes over aggressive. I can relate. I think anybody that has success or sustained success was probably too fast for themselves at some point. The people you have to speed up is where the problem is. So, so this isn't a dig, but like most people, as you gain more experience and you matured as a person, even like today, you're still super fast. But, I think where you're at now is, and I think you'd agree, you can tell me yes or no, but it's like you're super fast still, but you've got that controlled aggression.
Yeah. And honestly, it's funny you say that, because like a lot of people say you need to race like the way you used to, or race when you're pissed off, because when I get a flat or I get spun out or something, I always make up a lot of ground after the fact because I'm just right pissed and I just drive the car probably beyond its limit, but it's I'm at my limit. So, but the problem with that is you get yourself in trouble really quick. I feel like the big game changer for me over the last few years is honestly having kids.
Yeah.
Calmed me down a whole lot. Getting married, Laura, my wife now, she's calmed me down so much, like it's insane. But I still have that in me. I still have the fire in me. Yeah, you never have to slow me down, that's for sure. I just feel like now, obviously working on my own stuff too, I think twice when I want to stick it in there. I'm like, like I rip the fender off. That's like 4 hours and fiberglass cutting, and I just I'll wait another lap. And it usually works out. So back when I was 18, I tear the roof off, and I didn't care because young, dumb, and didn't have to work on it. I still have the same aggression, just a little more control.
Yeah, I could. So you're so right. You don't want to do that again because so now it's funny because now like, I get to watch you and everybody else now. So now, and I experienced the same thing. It's like full circle because now, like you say, you're still fast, you're aggressive when you need to be, but you're controlled. You're not crazy. You're not ripping stuff up for no reason. But now I see you giving guys shit all the time when they do that. And it's just kind of funny because you were that guy or I was that guy or whoever was that guy years ago getting the same, getting yelled at in the same fashion. And as time passes, right, you become the guy that's yelling and not the guy getting yelled at.
Yeah. And really, I feel like almost the old guy in racing now because I've just been doing it so long. And in the APC tour, I feel like I'm one of the guys that raced probably the longest. So, I've only yelled at a few people, and it's usually because they spin me or put me in the fence or stuff. And one thing that I can honestly say about I know we're going back to CASCAR, but CASCAR Super Series, the guys had such respect all across the board. And I wish racers nowadays would understand what respect really is. Respect is rubbing is racing, that's fine. Leaning on people, that's fine. But, coming across track and trying to put me out of the track is not good, and stuffing people in the wall, and that's not racing. That's demolition derby.
Yeah, I agree.
So when I get into a good race with someone where literally we're rubbing and we each get a little loose, we rub doors a little bit, and even if I finish second or third, like up at Sawwell, I shook Brandon Watson's hand because I'm like, dude, I could race with you like that all day. Absolutely. That was awesome. I got into him, I moved him, but I let him gather it up. Like, that's racing. And it's guys like Brandon Watson, Joe Lawrence, those kind of guys. I love racing with them because they're very respectful.
Yeah, there's a bunch of great racers in that series for sure. And, the respect thing, I agree with you. But it doesn't matter what level of racing that you talk about this or you listen to somebody talk about it. It's the same thing. And it's really not just racing centric. I mean, it doesn't matter. You can talk about a 10-year-old kid at school or, it's just definitely, I think, like you say, maybe as older guys, we think it's a lack of respect. And I don't think it's because we're old. I just think it's true. For whatever reason, there's just an overall lack of respect in a lot of different areas of life. So it's not racing centric, but I think, what you do, how you handle yourself. I try to do it as an outsider in the sport now, but just to keep educating people and trying to make them understand. And, when you have a great race, like you just talked about, I was there and I can remember talking to 5 or 6 drivers after that race and, thinking it's a great teaching point, right? And say, guys, that's how it should be. Go back and look at this tape when you get home because it was streamed and, look at that because if you race like that, you'll never go back. So I agree.
Yep, definitely. And I don't always like talking about, like, obviously the APC Tour. That's what I love, obviously. But what a lot of people don't understand, because it's not on stats, obviously, is because I jumped in the CASCAR or NASCAR and everything right away, I felt like I missed a spot in short track racing. So I went back. I ran mini stocks. I tried the Pro Challenge on
TQ
test
midgets.
day. I tried almost every car.
Yep.
I felt like I missed that aspect of racing, and I wanted to get back involved. So there was, 4 years I owned probably the most badass super stock team in Ontario. We won 2 track championships and a lot of cool stuff. So I felt like me going back and getting more appreciation for racing, that helped me a lot too as a driver, because, like, a lot of people don't get to go to NASCAR, right? I was very fortunate to do that. So I wanted to go back and experience good old crazy short track grassroots racing, and it just made my passion stronger for the sport when I did that.
Well, it made your passion stronger, but it's because you're passionate about it, JR. And that's one thing I love about you. And, talking about, like I'd said, about maturing and stuff. And that's the other thing. I don't care where you raced. There's good racing in anything. Bone stocks, pure stocks, mini stocks, like you said. And I love the fact that you'll jump in whatever and race, whether the car is the best or it's not the best, just to race because you love it. And I think that if that can rub off on some more of us, we're all going to be better off.
Yeah, it's so much fun, man. I love it. There's obviously a few things I want to check off my list, and some people were going to help me with that last year until COVID struck and ruined it all for all of us. But there's still more cars to try.
Absolutely.
JR, most recently, you've won the Oscar Outlaw Super Late Model Championship and the APC United Late Model Series and a Flamborough Speedway Track Championship. Late model racing sure seems to be making a huge surge throughout North America right now. Why do you think that is?
Obviously, because I think it's competition. Everybody that has the opportunity to race late model are extremely good. Cars are really good. The rules, they keep improving the rules every year to make the competition tighter. I think in the earlier days of my years of racing, say like 2010 to 2012, maybe, the rules were getting a little too crazy around here in Ontario. Everybody's rules were different at every track. So people were getting, I think, a little pissed off because, you can't go race Flamborough if you're a Sunset guy because the rules are totally different. So I feel like the United Late Model Tour really helped with that, obviously with short track incentive programs. So all the tracks have the same rules. Competition's fantastic everywhere you go, not just APC Tour, but all the tracks. And then obviously the short track nationals. People want to be a part of it. So they're building late models to be a part of that event, but now they're also supporting short tracks like Flamborough, Sunset. Sunset just started a pro late program. Delaware. So, I mean, the numbers are growing. The numbers are improving. Delaware only had I think it was 6 late models. At one time, they canceled it because there was no cars, where the year of 2019, there was 22 every night. So, I mean, the late model scene is looking really strong and really healthy in Ontario. And I really feel what everybody's who is a part of the Superstock deal, they're going to do that with that class as well. So I really think racing is on the upswing right now. The mini stock class, I know that they put together I'm not sure what the word would be, but a common rule.
That's exactly
so
it.
That class has put up pure stocks. Man, the pure stocks are the best race you've ever watched, because there's 40 cars and they're also freaking close.
Yep.
The racing is fantastic. I think anybody who has never been to a short track race in Ontario needs to go, because honestly, right now and in the next couple of years, we have an awesome product. And if it was on TV, I guarantee the numbers would be strong in any class. We have great racing.
I agree. And the thing you said about the short track nationals, APC series, I hope that all the other promoters are listening. I know most of them agree, but I can tell you on my end, I get some flack sometimes saying that, doing stuff like that isn't helping and it's hurting and blah, blah, blah. But as you know, I know it doesn't bother me. You just said it. The fact that we're having big events where we're all able to race with the best of North America again, which we've not been exposed to that for so many years now. And at the Nationals, like you say, with a lot of work from a lot of people, we have cars from Western Canada, Quebec, Eastern Canada, Central Canada, Ontario, Texas, Georgia, Florida, Wisconsin, you name it. and we can all race under one rule. So, you know, late models across North America are all so close right now, rule-wise, that you can have a race, and we prove it. As you know, we've proved it for 2 years now, that you can do that with very little changes. And that's why, you know, one of the reasons why, and that's just here. So, you know, now you can go race at Nashville, where 10 years ago, 5 years ago, maybe you couldn't with your late model without doing a whole pile of stuff. So I think that as a group, we all have that desire to make things as close as possible. And maybe this is a time to get your opinion on this. This is something that I've been thinking about for a while now. So we talked about the Cascar thing, the ultimate, in my opinion, and had that national tour, right? Had the Western product, the Eastern product, and then ultimately the national championship. I think we're close, man. I think with some work. What do you think about a national late model tour?
I think, obviously, we're having the same dreams tonight, Alex, because I went down the IWK 250 in 2018, which, if nobody knows, that's a big race in Nova Scotia. And they have an amazing class out there, the Pro Stock Tour, which is a late model. And I took my car that I have here that I raced Flamborough with, and I ran top 5.
Yep.
And
So did Hathaway.
I put old crap shocks on that they race there, but that's all I changed.
Correct.
It's an APC car. I just put cheap shocks on it and went down there and raced. And I've always said, if we could somehow connect all the dots, and at the end of the year, you have, you know, one big race with everybody, man, it would be huge. You'd have, I'm not joking, 80 cars.
Oh, sure. I agree.
Especially, I know the guys that become race at that event. And I feel like the nationals, some people get intimidated almost because they feel, oh, well, the Americans are just going to kick our ass. Well, guess what? I don't know if anybody even knows this, but Bubba Pollard obviously has the best starting or finish average of the last 2 years, but I have the second best.
Absolutely.
I have a fifth and a third. And I'm not lying. I went there the first year with a 2012 Yankee that we just did out of our garage here. Like, yeah, you know what? We're a bigger team, but we work hard on our stuff and we compete. So I'm telling anybody right now, just because we're in Canada does not mean we can't compete. So I think eventually, I think that'd be amazing, and it's 100% doable having an Eastern, a Western, and obviously Ontario-based tours at some point, somewhere, all connect, and maybe race one race here at our home, one race there at their home, and one race out west, and you have a national champion. Man, That'd be amazing. It'd be incredible.
I'm with you, buddy. We'll talk about this later. You said earlier you got some things to check off your bucket list. So what else do you want to accomplish? Driving, racing cars, or otherwise in the sport? What else do you see yourself? I know, you know, just what you're just saying right there, maybe you're going to work with me to develop a national tour, but what else do you want to do in this sport?
I really liked when I owned. Obviously, I owned the Superstock deal that won 2 years in a row at Delaware Speedway. That was a lot of fun to me. I think I would love to one day be able to field a car for a young up-and-coming talent. You know, I don't see myself giving up racing anytime soon, but I'd like to help somebody, you know, like,
give back.
Just the little bits I got Kyle Steckley, because they bought our old car to let him learn. Obviously, Scott Steckley is a Hall of Famer and a great racer. I just love talking to Kyle, and it just felt good to me, you know, like just giving a little bit of advice. Obviously, Scott gave more, but it just feels good to help young people. You know, I like to think that I helped Jake Gilbert at Flamborough. That kid's amazing. He's coming along really good too. So I feel like being a mentor to somebody is something I still would like to accomplish, even though I still consider myself to be pretty young. But I think one day I'd like to be like an owner of a up and coming talent. That'd
be awesome. That'd be great for our sport. That's for sure. Mm-hmm. And you know, I was going to say just what you said. I can tell. Me and you talk a lot, and I know that you enjoy giving back, and that's to me, that's the sign of a true champion, when you're willing to give back, because we all got so much help from so many people on our way through, and if all of us don't keep giving back, this thing will stop short. So I love the fact that you want to do that. In our industry in general, what do we need to do differently as an industry to keep moving the needle?
I mean, there's a few things. One, obviously, I know it's so hard to do, but social media needs to be utilized the proper way, not in a negative way. I feel like a lot of people don't want to speak up at drivers' meetings. They don't want to say to an official, hey, listen, I want to talk to that guy. they just run their mouth on the internet, and it looks bad, not just for you and the other guy, but as a whole. Like, you know, my aunt doesn't want to see me on Facebook bashing racing because they think we're all a bunch of arseholes.
Yeah.
So I think that's a big thing. You utilize social media. And then I think we're honestly on the right path, man, about tracks all being the same rules. Cars are getting closer. Obviously, TV would be great. GeForce TV has done a phenomenal job. I think that really helped. I think that brought a lot of interest to people who've never been to a race before because, you know what, the racing was exciting. We're really getting close. I really feel it. Like, I just feel like in the next couple of years, things are going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And there's only a few things, like I said, like the social media thing really bothers me just because I think it can be pretty negative at times, but I really like where we're heading, that's for sure.
What about things like race day practice, length of days, things like that? I know, and listen, I say this knowing you like to test, but can we be better at that?
Yeah, and it's funny too. I'm glad you brought that up because race days being so long definitely is a cost deal. People are away from home. Obviously, family is a big part. Obviously, I can take my family, luckily, with me to races because my wife's just as in love with it as I am. But yeah, I mean, like tour racing, I feel we need to be in and out a lot quicker because, you know, like when I did local Flamborough show there, you know, the gates open at 4:30. We're out of there by 11. Sometimes 10:30, depends how the races go. But I really do think less practice, more racing would help a lot because, yeah, you get guys that take days off work and want to test all the time like me. And it's definitely hurts people who aren't capable of doing that. So,
well, listen, it shows in the Cup and the trucks. I'm sorry. You know, it shows now in the Cup and trucks and Xfinity, right? Where they're the COVID stuff. And I hear guys like Hamlin saying, if we go back to full day, multiple practices, we're crazy.
Yeah, well, look at Michael McDowell.
Yeah.
He's a small team.
It's helping him.
Has the best finishes out of everybody right now in the last 3 races.
Absolutely.
So I think that would help. You think that would help?
Yeah. Hey, one thing about it, JR, we'll all practice as much as we're allowed to practice. But you know what? If none of us can practice or if we all have 15 minutes to practice, we're all in the same boat, man. And you know as well as anybody, I say this to people all the time. You go on a test day, 9 times out of 10, you go home with the same shit you started with.
Yeah, or
right?
You just screw yourself up. My dad always says, you're only going to screw yourself up.
Right.
And you know what? He's right. So I went, remember, you and I can relate because even you said, like, when we went and tested at the beginning of the 2020 season, I uploaded when we had that test there.
Yeah.
And my car was ridiculous fast, like, to the point where I couldn't tell you how to make it better. And everybody was losing
you stayed and screwed it up, though.
So, well, that's it. So what do? We go home, we clean it, and then we go on race day. Well, then the thing's a pail of crap.
Yeah.
So really, I just screwed myself. So really, I'd be okay if they said no testing, because really it would stop me from screwing things up, as my dad would say.
JR, we're gonna wrap things up here shortly, but I just wanted to make an observation for myself here. You've been racing almost your whole life in one form or another, and having this conversation with you today, it was so great. I can hear the passion in your voice now. And for the sake of the race fans, I hope that your career lasts for a lot longer, because the passion that you have today has already rubbed off on me, and I'm sure that it will many others. So thank you for being our guest on Driver in Deep. We really appreciate it, your time, and I'll let Alex say goodbye. But first, do you have any social media that our listeners can follow you on?
Yeah, I am on pretty much all of them. You know, I'm on Facebook, just the JR Fitzpatrick, and then Instagram is the same, just JR Fitzpatrick, and Twitter, I think it's J_R_Fitzpatrick. I'm not on Twitter much because it's a bit of a cruel place, but Instagram, I'm pretty involved there, and Facebook. So yeah, if anybody wants to follow along, I'm going to get pretty heavily more involved with posting stuff here now that the body's on my car, because I can't let everybody see all the stuff we've been working on. But I post family, racing.
So I can't even come visit?
All the stuff between.
I can't even come visit because you haven't got the body buttoned up on the bitch yet?
You could let me come, because I wouldn't have any idea what I was looking at.
No, you you guys can come. I got ways to cover stuff up.
All right, buddy. Listen, thanks. Like Mark said, thanks very much for taking the time, and we'll catch up with you soon for sure. We'll get you back on here because there's so much that we can talk about with you for sure. And good luck this season. And please say hi to Laura and the girls for me.
Definitely, I will. Thanks, guys, for having me, and we'll catch up soon.
All right. Best of luck.
Well, all right, Mark. Another show's come to an end. Great guest we had today.
Amazing. Really, really, really great. The passion was coming right through.
This guy's super talented. He's a great guy, and he's got so much to give to the sport still. So I'm looking forward to what he has to come in the future. How can our folks, our listeners, how can they support us, catch up with us, communicate with us?
Okay. Just in case you haven't heard this before, here it is. On Twitter, it's @nags_Alex or @WNSMark. And on Facebook, you can just search for Wingnut Sports on Facebook. Instagram, same thing, @Wingnut Sports. Our email is wingnutsports@gmail.com. And of course, our website is wingnutsports.com.
Yeah, and I know a lot of our listeners go to our website and click on it and listen to our shows, and we appreciate that. If you use any platform like Spotify, Google, Apple, or any of the other platforms that host podcasts, please subscribe. That helps them, helps us, and you'll get notifications, of course, and stuff. So if you have the time, please take your time and subscribe. So that'll help everybody for sure.
Absolutely. And thanks for listening, and we hope to see you next time.
All right, you're clear. Got a slow boat coming up.